Welcome everybody to this episode of O365Eh. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about Dynamics 365 Contact Center. So to talk with us about that is Marcus Schmidt. He's a principal program manager for Dynamics 365. So welcome, Marcus. And I'll turn it over to you to give a quick introduction. And then there's been some exciting new announcements in this area. So maybe you could just start off. What's been announced recently.
Sounds good. Well, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me. It is an exciting time to be part of the Dynamics 365 product team. We recently announced and actually just went general availability of Dynamics 365 Contact Center, as you said. We announced it in June at an event in Las Vegas called Customer Contact Week, and then it went GA on July 1st. And it's kind of a new product, but kind of not a new product. In a way, it's the culmination of about 5 years of work that we've been doing around contact centers. We took our product called Dynamics 365 Customer Service, which is the product that helps people do support and service of their customers. And we've been adding different channels to it over time. So email is a channel, web chat, social messaging, SMS, and then voice. And as we've been adding all those different channels, basically it was turning into a contact center. And as we were out talking with customers about this, especially after we added all the Copilot features and all the AI features into the product, we had customers saying, I really love where you're going with this contact center set of functionality, and I really love this idea of having Copilot at the center of everything that agents are doing. But I can't really replace my core CRM yet. I'm still using another CRM. Maybe I have a homegrown CRM. Maybe I have a CRM under contract or something like that. So they said, could I have the contact center piece and the AI piece, working independently and have that either as a standalone solution or as something that works with the CRM that I already have? So that's what we announced in June and what we just rolled out here in July. And like I said, it's a new offering. It's a new way to purchase this set of functionality, but it's not really brand new code. It's code that we've been working on for the last 5 years.
Good stuff. And so what you have today is a standalone contact center as a service offering, right?
Exactly.
And maybe just to finish the introduction, can you just cover off how it integrates with the greater Microsoft 365 ecosystem, just at a high level?
Sure. Yeah. We have always been building the product so that it works hand in hand with the core Microsoft 365 apps, specifically Teams and Outlook. So you're going to see the fact that inside the product itself, there's an embedded Teams chat experience where the agents can be inside the agent desktop, which is Dynamics, and they can launch off into a Teams chat with their subject matter experts and not ever leave the Dynamics experience, for instance. They can even initiate something we call a swarm, which is where you try to invite a bunch of subject matter experts that aren't in the contact center but might want to come together to help solve a customer problem. And all that is interoperating with Teams. We also can seamlessly transfer calls from the contact center to Teams users over VoIP. We use a feature called Join Me on Teams. I don't think that's the official feature name, but that's what I call it all the time, where if you're having a conversation with a customer and the customer wants to share their screen and you want to do some co-browsing of what they're seeing, especially good for tech support kinds of things, you can do that. And there's an embedded Teams meeting experience right inside the agent experience as well. The customer doesn't have to have Teams. They can just use a browser-only experience, but it helps kind of have the agent and the customer on the same page looking at the same thing on somebody's screen.
Good stuff. Do you guys want to just jump into a demo?
Yeah, happy to do a demo for you. Just one sec while I share my screen here. The demo I'm going to show you is, we're going to show a couple different things. We're going to show a web chat kind of experience, and we're going to show a voice experience. So let me first of all have to find the window that I had this in. There it is. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen here. It should look like something called Customer Service Workspace. You see up on the top?
Video, yep.
Okay. This is actually the main way that we've created this agent desktop experience. It's kind of an inbox motif where you've got different things that you're working on, things that you've already finished working on. And then there's even this concept of having a set of open work items where you could come in and just grab things off the list if you want to pick things off the list and start working on them. And these things that come in could be cases, they could be web chat conversations, they could be voice conversations, they could be SMS conversations, what have you. It's definitely an omni-channel experience. And then as you click on any item, you'll get the details of the item in the middle. And then there's always Copilot here on the right to help you do your job. So in this case, we're going to use one of our favorite fictitious companies, Northwind Traders. So we're going to go down here to chat, and I'm going to play the role of both the customer and the agent. So we'll get the chat fired up here. As it warms up, it should come back and say, I'm here to help you. How can I help you? So there it is. We'll be there with you in a moment. I should have warmed up my chat bot ahead of time, but okay. Welcome to Northwind Traders. How can I help you today? And so you can say something like, I'd like to check the status of my order. And then you could put in an order number. So this is all a Copilot Studio authored experience. Traditionally we'd call these chatbots, but now we're trying to call them more like customer-facing Copilots. So this experience now it has a plugin built into it, so it's going to give me an order number. So we'll just put in an order number like, I don't know, J87 whatever. And so there's my order number, and it's going to go fetch the details of the order. Right, comes back and says it's going to be scheduled for delivery in 5 days. And now I can do things like you've probably seen, where I can start to do a little bit of a left turn and say, is the X4 waterproof? So I can ask it a question that's just sort of a non sequitur, right? It's like, I know that I got the Trailmaster X4, it's going to be shipped in 5 days, but so I'll come back and say, is it waterproof? And it dips into my knowledge base and comes back and says, yes, indeed, it is waterproof. So as I'm going through this whole process, let's say I want to actually talk to a live agent. I've got my answers here, but I want to go talk to a live agent. So I just type in agent. And it'll start escalating and transferring me over to an agent. So I'm going to go to the customer service workspace here. And because you can see up here in the upper right, I've got myself set to available. I should get the chat request coming in here in just a moment. So there it is. And as I accept the chat request, you're going to see the screen kind of transform a little bit. I've got my visitor tab over here. I've got the conversation tab right here, where you can see everything that has happened in the conversation that the customer had with the customer-facing Copilot or the automated system. Now, I can go ahead and start typing something as an agent. Hi, how can I help you today? And as we go ahead and look over at the customer side of this, you can see that that's right there. I can help you today. And I'm going to, as the customer, I would say, can I get an increase in my credit limit for my Northwind card? All right, so then what happens is this comes over and you see that there's a sentiment analysis that's happening in real time. So right now everything's slightly positive. Says, yeah, can I get an increase in my credit limit on my Northwind card? I say, sure, let me check on that. And as we go back and forth here, what Copilot should be doing, but it's not doing right now. So let me see. Copilot should be sensing what's happening in the conversation over here and give me a prompt. So let me just give it one more little kick in the backside here. I really would like it increased by, let's say, $500. Okay, so now let's see if Copilot is actually paying attention, and we go back to, okay, so now you see that as I'm having this conversation, Copilot is actually listening, and it's saying, how can I, so I don't have to, as an agent, I could go type this in, but Copilot knows what I should type. So we call this auto prompts. So I've got an auto prompt here. I'm just going to go ahead and click on it, say how to increase the limit in a Northwind card. So it gives me the rundown of what I can do. I basically verify the customer is in good standing, check their utilization ratio, blah, 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 blah. Like a bunch of things that I could do as an agent to make this happen. I'm going to show you one other thing here, and I didn't have my other stuff up, so let me just grab something real quick, and I'm going to show you what happens if we go and say turn on translations. Because the conversation that we have, this is all great because we're all English speakers, right? But what would happen if I'm not an English speaker? Right? Habib, you have a question. I see you raise your hand.
Yeah. So I mean, so this all looks great. So just, I mean, I've had a good amount of contact center experience in my life, building a bunch of call centers. So I'm just wondering about from the user experience side of things, are you going to be able to provide some ability for the um, I guess the agents or the organization to build like predefined template responses or pre-canned responses and stuff like that?
You
To sort
can.
of easily
The
inject.
good question. There's a ability to have agent scripts. I don't have any of them defined in here right now, but you can have a set of scripts where you can walk the agent through the steps that they should go through. So not only is Copilot here to help them through sort of general things and kind of respond to whatever's happening in the conversation, but you can go through a very specific set of workflow steps as well, or agent scripts is what we call them.
Okay, and then what about the ability to say it's like a pre-canned response? So it's like I want to just like reply and inject that directly into the message. Like it's like
we also we have this idea called quick replies. Again, I don't have many. I should don't have those configured in this demo environment, but you have this idea of having quick replies where you could just go ahead and type, do a /Q, and then it will fill in a whole bunch of things. You don't have to type it out. Exactly right.
awesome.
So the thing I was going to show you next is the real-time translations, which I think is one of the coolest things. So let's say all of a sudden I go French, right? I was speaking English, but now I type in something in French. What happens is because I turn on real-time translation, my profile is set as an English speaker. So it goes and says, how long will it take, right? It takes that and translates it for me, and I'll say, it should only take a few hours. And then now, because the dialogue is set to French, what the customer is going to see is a response in French, right? And I can, it's really slick. And then so I can go ahead and like even change it up a notch again and go Chinese. I don't know Chinese or French, so that's why I have to cut and paste it. But then all of a sudden it comes in and says, I really want my increase to be like by 50%. So, okay, I think we can do that. All right, so then now it's going to come back and the response is going to be in Chinese. So it makes every agent basically a multilingual agent. It's really, really snazzy, and there's a ton of different languages we support. I can't remember exactly how many languages we support, but it's a lot. So I'll stop
you do
there.
that on voice.
Yeah, but what's that?
If you could do that on voice, someone could speak to you.
That's always a commonly asked question. Not yet. That's something that would be very, very cool though, and I think it's something that I know that there's some people in the labs working on this kind of stuff where you could basically I could say something in English and it would transform it into French. There's other things I've heard that we're working on, just in terms of like sampling agents' voices and be able to use the agents' speech patterns and tonality and all those things. But that's out there a ways before we probably have that in any kind of productized version of anything. Any questions? Again, I'm going to switch to voice next, but any questions?
I have a question, Marcus. More on that, on the Copilot experience. We were actually speaking to a former MVP and now Microsoft PG person on the Copilot connectors team, and like what also would be really cool, and maybe you're already thinking about this, or maybe someone's working on it, is instead of it listing all those tasks to check the credit for a customer, what if it just goes and does it like for you while you're talking? Are you working on anything like that with Copilot connectors?
Yeah.
Is it possible in this environment?
Great question. So there are plugins available for Copilot that would allow it to go out and do the job, basically. So go out and get the customer's credit information. Go out and check to see whether or not their score is what their score is from some third-party credit bureau. So today those plugins are fetching data out of Dataverse, different Dataverse entities. But we also are working on external plugins that will be out in the October timeframe. So all that same kind of extensibility stuff you could do with Copilot Studio authored Copilots, you'll be able to do inside this as well. So yeah, you got to get this idea of human agent handing off to virtual agent, handing off back to human agent, kind of going back and forth like that.
Yeah, it'd be really slick experience, and
yeah, for sure.
Actually make it fun for an agent to do the job. That would
that's the goal. That's the goal behind Copilot in general, is like take the drudgery out of what agents have to do, because now you're going to see at the end, I just ended the conversation as a customer. So Copilot gives me a conversation summary, and I can just go ahead and with one click turn this into a case, right? I don't have to summarize the notes. I don't have to go do a bunch of work. It's just right there. I can fill out the case and away I go. So This is something that our agents internally at Microsoft that are using this have found to be super helpful, because before they had to go weed through the transcription, pull out the nuggets of information they wanted to put in the case summary, and they'd have to re-summarize it again for somebody else, and now it's all being done by Copilot.
And these case notes or looking up cases, like if you don't have Dynamics, is this like Power Platform connectors, or how is it, maybe creating in your existing system?
Yeah, you could have a custom Power app that's created and basically built this into that as well. I'm going to show you something next, actually, in another somewhat popular CRM system, to show you what this would look like embedded inside something else. So it's good segue into the next. So I'm just going to close this down and fire up another environment. So let me go ahead and log in. What you're going to see happen here is this is another popular CRM product. It's not one that, just because I'm showing this doesn't imply any sort of relationship or strategic partnership or anything between us and the folks that provide this product. But if you know it, you know what it looks like, right? What we're doing now is we're embedding that same kind of experience down here into the lower left in this little dockable component. So you see that I've got still the conversation on the side over here, and I've got Copilot on the right. Still have that same session and wrap up. So let me just close that down so I can make my agent self available. So here you've got there I'm in availability now. I've got no conversations. I've got Copilot waiting around. Everything's click to dial enabled. So if I wanted to click on this, I could go ahead and call a phone number. But I'm just going to call into the IVR, and you're going to hear sort of a customer-facing Copilot that's voice-oriented. So 1 second. Turn this on to speaker. Waiting for the IVR to pick up.
Hello, Joe. Thanks for calling Northwind. I see you chatted with us about an order yesterday. Are you calling about that?
Yes. Can that order be expedited, please?
Just to confirm, would you like to expedite the order with the tracking number ending in 3377?
Yes, please.
I've expedited your order. It'll now be delivered in 2 business days instead of 5 business days. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Yes, actually, since I have you on the phone, can I talk to somebody about increasing the credit limit on my Northwind card?
Let me connect you with an agent for that.
Okay, so let me take that off speaker. And you should see I've set up something we call preferred agent routing. So when I call in from my cell phone, it should route to me as the agent. So if there's anybody else doing a demo, they shouldn't be getting this. But here I come in, my customer self is Coffee Joe Midwest. So I'm going to accept that call and put it on mute real quick so we don't get any feedback. But you see all of the transcription the same way we saw it inside the Dynamics experience. Here's the transcription. If I want, I can do a Copilot summarization here as well to come up to speed on what's been happening really quickly without having to read through the whole transcription. But the real time, what's happening now is not just we're transcribing the voice in real time as well. This is where it would be really cool if we could also translate it, but we don't at this stage. But let me just go ahead and say a couple things as a customer here. Hi, I've been a longtime customer, and I'm really frustrated by the fact I've never had an increase in my credit limit. I really need my credit limit increase ASAP. So you see that the sentiment analysis is working here. That went from neutral to slightly negative. Here's the transcription of what I just said as a customer, and now I can come back as the agent and say, you're actually right. You have been a long-time customer. I apologize for the fact we've never increased your credit limit. Let me go to work on that, and I'll get something in the works right away. So it transcribes what I'm saying. So back and forth, it's transcribing everything. And actually, I did this demo on the show floor at the Customer Contact Week event in Vegas. And there was so much noise and everything, but it was performing relatively flawlessly and picking up every utterance and transcribing it pretty well. So you get the general idea. Voice conversations very similar to text conversations. Everything's there in that conversation window. Copilot's over here if I need help. I can type increase credit limit process, and ask what it is to do. And in this case, it's actually going to fetch the information out of Salesforce's knowledge sources. So I can go ahead and look at the source, and it's actually going to be something inside Salesforce. No, I don't remember what my password is. All right, well, you get the idea, but basically it's going to go get the information out of the Salesforce knowledge base. I will stop there if you have any questions about the voice scenarios or the embedded scenario that we're showing here.
So if a company was looking to, deploy this contact center, how do they get their numbers into the service, and how do they kind of get up and running?
Yeah, it's a great question. We use Azure Communication Services as our communication engine under this. So if you're all familiar with Teams as more of the UCaaS experience, you might know that its counterpart in the communication platform as a service world is Azure Communication Services. So you can use all the normal processes here. You can use direct routing or direct routing to bring your existing numbers in through approved session border controllers and use those. You can actually port your numbers to Microsoft as well, or you can acquire new numbers from Microsoft.
Just adding on to that, if a customer's already kind of invested in Teams voice, is there anything to think about, or is it completely separate? And
today, it's a separate situation. We think of Teams voice as sort of this world for everyday UCaaS kinds of things. I know with the auto attendance and the Queues app, they're taking steps towards the direction of providing some lightweight contact center functionality. But we didn't want to require the whole Teams infrastructure underneath this to necessarily power what you're seeing here. Now, we are looking at ways of converging those over time so that if you've made a bunch of investments in Teams voice, you can continue to use those. But right now, they're kind of two separate worlds, the Azure Communication Services world and the Teams voice and Teams phone system world. Same concepts though. I'm sorry, direct routing applies and on those kind of things. So if you know the Teams phone system and voice side, you can take that same knowledge over to ACS. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a quick question about if customers have existing CRM systems. You showed the embedded experience. Is there any other sort of integration sort of patterns or integrations available for other CRM systems?
This is the only one we're focused on now. There's other ones that we've actually acknowledged and spoke publicly about, so I'm not spilling any news here, but we've said that the next one after this will be ServiceNow, so having a similar kind of embedded experience and interoperating experience with ServiceNow. And then there could be other ones after that. We also have some documentation available that would show you how you could wire this into a homegrown CRM. I find that a lot when I talk to customers as well, as people have built their own sort of CRM system out of whatever over time, and having this be able to integrate with that is also a use case we've been pursuing.
Cool.
So, hey, Marcus, sorry, I just have a question about the user experience. So is the user experience primarily going to be within that workforce portal that you mentioned? Is there going to be any app integration into Teams to kind of try and stay into like the same framework of, the Teams client rather than be in like multiple places?
We've looked at that. We don't have anything right away that we can announce there, but we have looked at the option of basically putting the agent experience inside of the Teams framework. It's certainly something that we could do because it's all browser-based stuff. We just haven't made it a top priority. It tends to be with agents, they have these dedicated workspaces where they've got all their tools and all their tabs and everything available right in that quote-unquote single pane of glass. So having it there with everything that they need, with all their knowledge articles and Copilot and all their case history and all that kind of stuff would be super handy. And then we have the Teams experience actually embedded inside of it, as opposed to us embedding inside of Teams. But we've looked at both options. There's maybe something like that we could do in the future. I just wanted to also point out, here's the publicly facing websites available, including everybody's favorite question, how much does it cost? So you can get the standalone contact center for $110 per user per month, and then if you want to add it together with Dynamics customer service, our core CRM capability, that's $195.
Marcus, maybe, I don't know, anecdotally, like how long does the deployment process take for somebody interested in doing this? Like, is it days, weeks, months? I mean, even if it was like a small to mid-size or even an enterprise, like what are they looking at?
Yeah, a lot of it's going to depend on the telephony situation, as you touched upon. Like, how do they have to port numbers to us? That takes some time,
Right.
or are they going to use Azure Communication Services direct routing and just bring their numbers in? So that's usually kind of a long pole in the tent.
Yeah.
The actual deployment of the contact center is really simple. It's completely SaaS based, right? You just spin up an environment in practically no time. We'll have free trial environments available soon where you can spin it up in literally minutes and start trying it out. We had a partner and some Microsoft folks over in the UK that did a hackathon, and they spun up 22 contact centers in a day.
Wow.
So that's basically the telephony piece, the dynamics piece, the integration with other CRMs, the Microsoft Copilot Studio, customer-facing copilots. They had all these different teams together, and 22 different teams spinning up contact centers in the scope of about a day.
Nice.
All right, this looks great, Marcus. Just one last quick question. I know you showed some pricing, but at a high level, is the product license per managed user, or is it price per tenant, or how does that work?
It's priced per named user right now. We're looking at other pricing options maybe in the future, but the core pricing is per named user. Now, there are some variable charges on top of that. Things like Azure Communication Services, we have to pay for the actual consumption of telephony or SMS or whatever. There's some consumption-based charges there. There's also some entitlements to some of the Copilot Studio capabilities that are built in. But you just have to, there's some extra fine print on that pricing page that you probably want to look at to make sure you understand what's in the core per user per month license. And then there's some other variable charges and some other things that might be tacked on top.
Got it. Very good. Well, we'll leave it there. We'll wrap up. Marcus, thank you so much for coming on. Love the live demo. It looks great, and really excited to see where this is headed.
Thank you for having me. So we're excited about it as well. So if you have any questions, please do hit me up on LinkedIn. Happy to chat with people on LinkedIn and give them some more information.
Super. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.